The next speaker is the Honourable Minister of International Relations and Cooperation.
Thank you, House Chairperson, Mr. President, Madam Speaker, honorable members. This budget will enable the presidency to fulfill its obligations to build a national democratic society and not narrow political interest. South Africa is a constitutional democracy. When there is a challenge of national significance, a commission of inquiry becomes relevant. And there is proof that these commission of inquiries have brought about a turnaround in the institutions where we had commissions of inquiries, in particular in relation to state capture. ESCOM, the lights are back, are on. The network industries such as Transnet, our ports, they are on their way to recover. SSA, in its last posting, has posted a profit of 252 million rands. SARS has now recovered about 2.3 trillion rands. Its capacity has recovered. These are the outcomes of a commission of inquiry which gave, with forensic detail, pointed indicators for government to be able to respond. Also denial its recovery. Isn't it ironical that the person who is telling us that President Ramaphosa has broken democracy comes from a party that believes in parliamentary sovereignty? The Honourable Hlophe. Parliamentary sovereignty does not allow any form of a constitutional democracy. So this person was the architect of the current constitutional democracy that we have. He is currently enabling this country to rebuild all the institutions that must enable our country to stand. And in any society, for the state to succeed and to move forward, institutions must be able to stand on their own. The MK party leader is someone who, as a judge, did his best to unlawfully influence other judges to support Jacob Zuma. Lack of ethics, no integrity, dishonesty. Honourable Hlophe is an unrehabilitated and a blind Zuma loyalist. He is part of the family business. He has sold his soul because it is alleged that he promised by Mr. Zuma to become the Chief Justice. Just like Zuma, he is consumed by hate for President Ramaphosa. So is Honourable Hlophe consumed by his blind loyalty to Mr. Zuma.
Honourable Minister,
not ironical.
Will you take your seat, please? Why do you want to be recognized, Honourable Member?
Yes.
For the Honourable Members.
I'm rising on Rule 85.
Yes.
The member on the podium is imputing improper motives.
Honourable Member, it's a political statement that the member is making in response to what your Honourable Member has said. Please continue, Honourable Minister.
This party that is teaching us about democracy has got no democracy, internal democracy whatsoever. Their leaders are anointed by the supreme leader at home. How can they then export democracy to the people of South Africa? The president is the architect. He was the foundation leader in our country that enabled us to enjoy this democracy that we are enjoying. The president is also the chief diplomat of the Republic of South Africa. Our foreign policy is an extension of our domestic policy. Every day we work harder to make our contribution to advance the national interest of our people, especially helping to overcome the triple challenges of poverty, joblessness, and inequality. Through attracting foreign direct investment, we are contributing to achieving a 3% economic growth in the medium term. We take no pride in being labeled the world's most unequal society. The statement of intent of the GNU said the following: our foreign policy based on human rights, constitutionalism, national interest, solidarity, peaceful resolution of conflicts to achieve the Africa Agenda 2063, South-South and North and South Africa cooperation, multilateralism, just, peaceful, and an equitable world. We have not deviated from this statement of intent in our implementation of our foreign policy. The DA may need to revisit this statement of intent if they don't know about our foreign policy. We live in unprecedented and uncertain times in geopolitics, with heightened levels of geopolitical and geo-economic tensions. punctuated with sheer scale at which impunity overrides international law, not just in Palestine and in the war between Ukraine and Russia, but especially in our own continent, particularly in Sudan, makes a mockery of any notion of accountability. This, coupled with rampant surge towards unilateralism, severely weakens collective actions that undermines the promise of multipolarity in addressing common global challenges. As we remain committed to a progressive internationalist and a non-aligned foreign policy committed to cooperation and not confrontation, to dialogue instead of a war, economic interdependence and not punitive tariffs, we say with conviction that it is the time to disabuse the world of the dangerous idea that might is right. Progressive multilateralism and dialogue amongst nations, the idea of deepening cooperation and solidarity must be restored. As the President has already said, we will continue to engage those countries, in particular the US, on unresolved challenges. We must remind this House that it's not only South Africa facing increased tariffs from the US. The whole globe is suffering. Challenges with the US are in both the global South and the global North. It is American friends and their foes. They all have ambassadors in the US, but still face challenges because of the unpredictable nature of today's Washington. Our negotiations are currently being coordinated by DERCO and the DTIC to resolve the trade challenges. Opposition parties also have a duty to promote South Africa's national interest. It is a self-destruction to go to Washington to badmouth your own country once you go out of South Africa. You should be a true patriot and promote South Africa's national interests. You will not find any American opposition parties coming to South Africa.
Honourable Minister, would you take your
badmouth their
seat, please? Why do you want to be recognized, Honourable Member?
Why did you keep quiet when
Honourable
you said
Member,
you are a good
Honourable
boy?
Member.
Is a
Honourable
member prepared
Member.
to take a question?
No, he's not, because you asked the question and I didn't give you permission.
Kept quiet
So,
when Rupert
Honourable
said he's a
Member.
good boy.
Honourable Member, you must abide by the same rules that you are quoting. Don't be selective in the application of the rule. Please proceed, Minister.
In bilateral engagements, they are led by the presidents. You don't just speak out of your own whim. You are called upon to do so. So if opposition parties from the United States are not coming to South Africa to badmouth the United States, why do our political parties, particularly in the opposition benches, find it necessary to do so? Honourable Mulder, Peter Blanche in his book, History of Inequality, argues that apartheid was built in such a manner that it must be able to reproduce itself, even in a democracy. So it is disingenuous to argue that there is no history or legacy of apartheid impacting the life of South Africans today. The legacy of apartheid still lingers. We have got a duty and a responsibility to respond to this challenge. The 2022 World Bank report on inequality states that South Africa's inequality is attributed to the legacy of apartheid and the nature of economic growth, which hasn't been inclusive enough to reduce poverty and create sufficient jobs. The Black Economic Empowerment Policies, the Bella Act, affirmative action, they remain relevant for us to address the history of this inequality that was created as a result of apartheid. We have got a duty to continue with this task. As we mark the 70 years of the Freedom Charter, our human rights outlook continues to inform our international relations perspective. Our anti-war stance is the aspirations of many South Africans from all walks of life, who declared that South Africa shall strive to maintain world peace and the settlement of all international disputes by negotiations and not war. As the war in Sudan rages, the spectre of violence conflict looms in South Sudan, committed to peaceful resolutions of dispute. South Africa will continue to play its role in both Sudanese. Our continent's crisis demand a concerted approach to peace building and the clear call of Agenda 2063. The continent we want, the silencing of the guns. This is the conviction that drove us as we engaged the political protagonists in Mozambique after the last year's elections. We were resolute in our participation in the joint SADC and East Africa Community missions to find long-lasting peace in the Eastern DRC. This House should be reminded the semi-DRC mission in which we participated was duly sanctioned and mandated by 3 continental multilateral organizations. South Africa is not in the business of deploying our men and women in conflict situations unilaterally. We do so through multilateral bodies. This year also marks a pivotal year for multilateralism. As the United Nations approaches its 80th anniversary, this vital institution finds itself facing an existential crisis, highlighting the urgent need for a renewed commitment to its founding principles. Our support for the Seville commitments was informed by our ambitions to bring back on the commitments of the SDGs. It is against this backdrop that member countries of the UN have recommitted themselves to close the 4 trillion annual budgeting gap through the Seville commitments, known as the Seville Decompromise, to achieve the objectives of Agenda 2030 of the United Nations. It is against this backdrop of fundamental commitment to multilateralism that our G20 presidency takes place. Our presidency is revolutionary. It is the very antithesis of what is going wrong in the world global order today. It seeks to revitalize the dialogue between North and South, and will never waver for Africa to be at the center of this debate. Where unilateralism casts its long isolating shadow, solidarity will rise during the hosting of our G20 in South Africa. While the world runs on our resources, the values does not stay here. The minerals leave raw. The batteries, the solar panels, we power AIs, the cancer treatments are made elsewhere. We export wealth, but import back its transformed value. This is a phenomenon we see across Africa. In an award-winning book, Cobalt-Red Sidakara argues that it is the blood of the Congo that powers our lives. This is why South Africa's G20 presidency puts forward a critical minerals framework that will rewrite this anomaly and revitalize our industrial strategy and manufacturing capabilities. In all bilateral and multilateral platforms, like the AU and South Africa partnership, FOCAC and the influence of South Africa can be seen through the declarations that pronounces without ambiguity on value additions and beneficiation at source. You can go and reference Mr. Nomvalo. Honorable members, as you are all aware, we have just returned from the BRICS Summit in Brazil and cooperation and economic development, with the themes that resonated were not just unilateralism and zero-sum politics and economics. South Africa continues to leverage its BRICS partnerships to power its green future. 2.9 billion rands from the new development bank is building the grid's backbone for the renewable energy, boosting energy security through tangible projects like the integration of 7 renewable energy projects of independent power producers in Uppington, the construction of transmission lines and the substation for Soweto area, and the construction of transmission lines of Angela Sterenkas Power Station. A 3.5 billion NDB loan is transforming the Durban port into a world-class African gateway. This upgrade slashes shipping times, attracts major vessels, and unlocks regional gurus, making Agenda 2063 trade goals a reality. We are speaking about the networking and enabling the Africa Free Trade Area. Our economic diplomacy and our international relations is beginning to yield the desired results that must contribute to the 3% economic growth in the medium term. This is a task we are continuing to undertake to change the lives of our people, so that the people of South Africa must be able to see and touch the work that we do across the globe. It is against this background that this House must adopt and pass the presidential budget votes, because this will enable the presidency as the chief diplomat of the Republic of South Africa to crisscross the globe in bilateral and multilateral platforms to enable us to achieve these objectives. Every one of our external engagements, every diplomatic handshake, every international agreement must echo our domestic imperatives of eradicating poverty, reducing unemployment, and slashing inequality. Our foreign policy is a mirror reflecting the needs of our people at the domestic level. These extend our domestic imperatives to international platforms. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister.